Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 25, Koloa Rum free tasting in the island of Kauai in the state of Hawaii. Was a lot of fun. Just wanted a little quick tip is you have to uh, drop by and book your reservation. They only have so many spots per hour, and then you can go in and do the tasting. But other than that, it's a wonderful experience. Great to learn about the rum being made. Before I go into details, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel, then I'll go right into the tasting as it happened. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm your timeshare traveler. The goal of my YouTube channel is improving your timeshare travels. I'll do this through timeshare video reviews, tips for using timeshares, and much, much more. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, Twitter at Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. And if you like my videos, don't forget to click subscribe below.
Unfortunately, it does take a lot of listening. So please bear with me, especially at the beginning. At the end, if you want to space out, that's fine. But at the beginning, if you could please listen, I would be very, very grateful towards you folks. Anyways, aloha, my name is Kale. I'll be your rum tender today. How are you folks all doing? Great. Alright, hopefully it'll get a little better once you get some alcohol in your system. Now, if you beat me to it though, congratulations. What I'm going to have you guys do right now is take a tiny little sip of the drink in front of you. Try not to get too carried away because as I mentioned, we're using this to make that cute little Mai Tai that I mentioned earlier. Now, if anybody starts feeling like they're getting a buzz, keep in mind that there's no alcohol in here. This is our non-alcoholic Mai Tai mix. So anything that says kukui does not have alcohol in it. Anything that says koloa does have alcohol in it. So the difference between this is that this has 17% or 34 proof worth of alcohol in the Koloa Mai Tai. But the one that you're drinking right now has nothing in there because we're going to be building that Mai Tai up from scratch. Now, in order to do that, the next thing I'm going to be pouring is our gold rum. So here at Koloa, we have two mixers, which is our white and our gold rum. The white is like a top shelf vodka. The gold, the only difference is it has caramelized sugar. So it's a little sweeter than the white rum, has that nice goldish color. Now keep in mind, it is considered a mixer. So the idea is not for it to taste good on its own, but to taste good once it's been added to something or mixed with something. So to bring at least 6 of these bottles with me. 3 to go and 3 to come back. Because what is in every airport? Coke. Yeah. So when I go inside there, I normally get myself a bottle of Coke. Now, as I get, or after I purchase it, I go ahead and drink some out so I can fit 3 of these bottles in there. When I go to the restroom, it's the weirdest sounding pee you will ever hear in that stall. As 3 of these bottles enter into the thing. I don't worry, I'm not peeing at the same time. I'm not that coordinated. But as long as I'm not belligerent and telling everyone, you know, have rum and Coke. No one is gonna sniff my Coke, but do keep in mind it is illegal, so please don't post it. But yeah. So what they don't know doesn't hurt, in my opinion. Now that's your frugal tip for today. But now that you've tried both of them separately, please go ahead and combine them together and try them once again. Try not to drink too much of it, enough to fit some dark rum in there, but try not to get it more than like 2/3 of a cup. Otherwise, your Mai Tai will be super cute. And I don't know how cute you want it to look. Now, so what you guys just had is basically what's in our Koloa Mai Tai cocktail. Now, what you want to do next is take that Mai Tai with the gold rum and you're going to tilt it to the side. Before actually you do this, you want to take a sample sip of the dark rum after I pour it. And then after you do that, you can go ahead and start pouring that dark rum right alongside the edge of the glass. Now one of the things I see people do is keep the cup like this. Don't do that. Start to bring it upright. Because as you keep it on inside, it's going to start to pour out and we don't want to commit alcohol abuse. So with that, hopefully the dark rum will start to float right on top. Now, I am going to ask that you guys guys all wait to drink your Mai Tais. I think that because you guys are in Hawaii, it's only appropriate that I teach you folks how we start our drinking here in Hawaii. It's not a cheers, like it doesn't translate to a cheers, but that's how we start our nights off. So I'll teach you folks that in just a little bit. But in the meantime, I want you to do that.
Here's the dark rum on the left and the Mai Tai that I've made on the right.
If you would
I'm
like
gonna mix
less
them.
for a particular, when it comes time
Now mix together.
to drink your Mai Tai, I shot or to shoot it. Especially if you do not care to drink very much. Or maybe you might find our alcohol a little bit on the stronger side. And the reason being, if you sip it, you're gonna sip that dark rum right off the top. Anybody want to guess how strong that dark rum is?
It's probably strong.
151?
Not that strong. Thank God. I can't carry people up out here. 80 proof, yep. So imagine sipping 80 proof right off the top. For some of you, you might find that discouraging. For people like me, you might find it encouraging. I mean, it just really depends on the individual, right? So with that said, if you take it like a shot, you'll taste that dark rum first, and then finish with the fruit flavors on the end. So, first word you're gonna say is okole. So a lot of people are trying to tell you that your okole is your bottom, and I can't really blame them. Growing up, that's what I was told, but there's a lot of mistranslations in Hawaiian words, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But it is actually a more specific part of the hair of your body. I'm not getting into detail, but I'm pretty sure you will figure it out.
Okay.
Second word is ma. That's just a connector in Hawaiian. And the third word is luna. So the same way you say moon, that's how we say up. So go ahead and raise your glasses as high as you can and repeat after me. Okole, mauna. Bottoms up.
That's a good card, actually.
Alright, so in order to make rum, it does require at least 3 ingredients, which is sugar, water, and yeast. So the sugar that we started our company with actually came from the west side of Kauai. It was called Olokele, and it was run by the Gay and Robinson family. Unfortunately, their final harvest was done back in 2010, and we went ahead and filled our entire warehouse with sugarcane from Olokele. But our goal has always been to continue growing sugarcane right here on Kauai. And that's exactly what we've been working on in the past couple of years, is establishing enough sugarcane on Kauai so that we can use it for our own production. Now the water that we use for our rum comes from this beautiful island right here on Kauai. In case you guys haven't noticed, we are the home to one of the wettest spots in the world, known as Mount Waialeale. There's a beautiful picture back there of that crater, and it averages over 400 inches of rain a year. Wow. So we get to take sugar, water, and yeast, allow it to ferment for about 5 to 7 days. Once that is done, it is considered a mash. That mash will go through something similar to what's in that showcase back there. That is a 50-gallon replica of what we're using on Koloa Mill, and it works perfectly fine. And that jug on the bottom left-hand side is 160 to 180 proof of pure alcohol. So that's a real deal in there. We do keep the doors locked. Last thing we need is for someone to take a swing of that and what we call huli maka flip, which is a pidgin term for falling face first on the ground. Now, if there's any rum that is capable of making huli maka flip in our tasting rum, it would be our spice rum, which was the highest in potency for years at 88 proof, but it continues to be the highest in potency in our tasting rum. Most of our rums that we offer here in our tasting rum are at 80 proof, including that dark rum and the gold rum that you tried. The only one that drops below that is going to be the last drink that we have today, which is our Kauai coffee, coming in at 68 proof. Now, if 88 proof is not high enough for you, we got you covered with our line of aged rums known as Kawaii Reserve. So we started off with a 3-year aged rum, moved into a 4-year aged rum. We are currently with our 5-year aged rum. Now, I have some really sad news because the other week we had about 75 bottles left for the rest of the year. So do we have any bourbon or whiskey drinkers in here? I just want to make sure you guys are aware that how we make our aged rums are by getting barrels from Heaven's Hill in Kentucky, which I believe is previously filled with bourbon or whiskey. I'm trying to figure it out, but still getting the details now. Anyways, with that said, what was I going to say now? Oh, when it's aging, it'll tend to take on the flavor of the alcohol that was previously in there, as well as the charred oak barrels, making this really smooth, especially for 92 proof. And the only one that ever exceeded that was one that we brought out for a very limited time for our 10th anniversary. This was a 4-year age rum coming in at cask strength at 124.4 proof. Now the spice rum. That is what my boss considers our sipper. That's what I consider our kicker. It is 2 pounds, coconut to the left is 3 pounds. Both the coffee and the reserve both come in at 4 pounds. So I shared this because a few years back, my husband and I decided to bring our children to the island of Hawaii, or the Big Island. And my bag, I think I need to preface this story by saying that those of us who grew up in Hawaii tend to do things a little bit differently, especially when it comes to the order of what happens after you get out of high school. So from my understanding, when you graduate from high school, most people in the mainland will go to college, get married, buy a house, and then have kids, right? Well, here in Hawaii, we tend to have kids and then hope and pray we can afford a house because it's so expensive out here. Now, with that said, my nephews are literally 2 years younger than me. So when we went to the Big Island, one of them calls me up, they're like, hey, Andrew, when you come up, you can bring some rum. I said, oh, absolutely. But stop calling me Auntie. So I brought up the newest, which is our coffee, and the rest of the rums that we had. My bag ends up being 54 pounds. Yeah. And I have like the cutest amount of poke, better known as Chinese. And most Chinese that I know, we are very tight with our money. Like so tight, pennies don't even drop out of us. So when my husband has the audacity to suggest that I pay for the fee, I'm not going to tell you folks that I suggested to him. Eventually, I took this coffee rum out of my bag, I put it into our daughter's bag, who at that time was 5 years old. We avoid the fee, and it is completely legal. So if it gets to the point that no matter what you do, all of your bags are over 50 pounds, please keep in mind that distilled spirits cannot be shipped from Hawaii unless you are a distributor. So neither myself as an individual nor our company would be able to ship distilled spirits. However, your clothes and most of your souvenirs can be shipped. It's all about priorities. Now, one of the things I absolutely love about this company is how much pride they take in making our products. And it really showed when they made this coconut rum. See, they could have brought it out a year earlier, but what they wanted to create was a coconut rum that was made from all natural coconuts, no artificial flavors whatsoever. So they waited a year, and I'm glad that they did, because it is absolutely amazing. How many of you guys have tried real coconuts from an actual coconut?
Oh, yeah.
Or real coconut water, I should say, sorry. The reason I ask this is if you haven't and you enjoy coconut, highly encourage you guys to find a really sketchy truck with a bed full of coconuts and buy from there. And they're not going to kidnap you, they just want to sell their coconuts. But it is some really good stuff. Now, I mention this because with all the awards that we've accumulated throughout the years, and I cannot even count how many gold medals we've won at the Rum Renaissance Festival, the company's main purpose was never to make award-winning rums. It has always been to continue the growth and the legacy of the sugar mill companies here on Kauai, because it played a big role not only in our history, but in our present-day lives as well. So the first mill that started here in Hawaii was on Kauai out in Koloa. It was commonly referred to as the Old Koloa Mill. And that's one of the reasons we decided to go with the name Koloa. At the same time, Ko, K-O with the kahako on top, or that line on top, that means sugar. Loa can mean lots. And we do go through a lot of sugar every year. But even though the sugarcane industry ceases to exist within the islands of Hawaii, it continues to play a really large role in our lives today, especially when it comes to our language. So does anyone know, or would anyone like to guess, what is the most spoken language here in Hawaii? I'll start to pour some coconut rum on you guys think about it.
Japanese police.
No. How do I say it? Yeah, I can't even remember how to say it, but no, I don't speak Japanese anymore. Yeah. Huh? Huh? Oh no, I said yeah, it just means no in Japanese. But that's all I know. Yeah. Start.
Here's the
My
coconut.
daughter was very famous for catching me just at that moment when I need the. That's exactly what this tastes like. Milk chocolate with a hit. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to try this today, but if you enjoyed that, I would highly encourage you guys to try that out. Now, the coffee room. We got to team up with Kawaii Coffee, and they created this brand new cold brew just for our purposes. So we took that cold brew, blended in some white rum to create our very own Kawaii Coffee Rum. So this is not a liqueur, it is an actual rum. So I do not recommend adding it to your morning cup of coffee. Instead, just substitute it. You're on vacation. It doesn't matter what time you start. But do treat it like your morning cup of coffee. So if you drink your coffee black, drink it chilled over the rocks. If you like your coffee with a certain type of creamer, go ahead, add that liquid creamer in there. But I do have a story. About the night, I realized that you should treat this coffee rum as a pregame and not an endgame. So, a couple of things I'm gonna say, or actually 3 things before we start off. One, I apologize in advance, but I'm gonna use my second language to say this story, which is swearing, so hopefully no one gets offended. Secondly, my husband, he's my best friend. He knows me really well, better than I know myself, and for years has told me that I have no common sense. And he will witness that very fact. And is there anything else I have to say? No, I don't think so. Actually, that might just be it. So, anyways, a few years back, I decided to clean my house. See, my kids growing up, they were like slugs. Wherever they went in the house, their mess would fall. So after being super fed up with all of them in the house, including my husband, I started cleaning up. It becomes an all-day affair. Well, my friend, or my neighbor, who is like my best friend, a sister practically, she comes in the morning.
Here's
and
the coffee rum.
Cannot. You're welcome.